Assalamu alaikum. Happy Women's History Month. Welcome to talking about Women's History Month again and thinking with me around what does it mean to celebrate Women's History Month and really think about how will this be celebrated later. And hashtag we are our history. We really are our history as we are working to do all the good stuff we're all working to do together. Someone's going to be looking back in history. So we've been talking this month with Rabata women about what does that mean? How does that feel to look to the future? She's about to come on. There she
Assalamualaikum,
is. Wa alaikum salam rahmatullah. Today we have Imam Samia with us. We've already talked to Imam Fadia earlier this month, and we're so happy to have you with us. You are also you're the Imam number 2 of the Masjid, and doing so much work to help all of those activities stay organized. And mashallah, like you're very active, and we see you also in the Masjid itself sometimes. And just FYI, everyone who's listening, the Masjid we're talking about is the online digital space. So we have a lot of different programming. How did you feel becoming before we get to the other questions, how did it feel to you to think about yourself as imam of a digital masjid? And I know some people might be like, why are you calling her imam? She's a woman. Because in Arabic, that's the correct term for someone who's running the masjid. Like that's what we call. That's what we call people here. Our masjid is a fully women's masjid. It's online masjid, digital masjid. So that's the word you use. That's correct Arabic. So please tell us, how did it feel? How does it feel to be doing
I
programming in
think
a digital
by the
masjid?
time I became imam, I already really felt like a digital space is a real space, which me being me, that's very strange because I wasn't one of these people like, yay, technology, let me hop onto this. I'm like, no, old traditional rooted stuff. So the fact that I felt that way is very strange that I was able to accept that. But I think by that time, already being in the programs in the masjid and being active on the threads, I was like, no, the connections we make here are real. And when I attend programs in the masjid, what I'm feeling is real. So I am feeling connected to the people. The spiritual experience is real. I just remember, I don't remember what it was for, but we were doing salawat one of these years, and somebody was talking about their experience of salawat. And I remember as that person was talking, like the hairs on my arms were standing up. And then somebody else there were other people exactly at that moment texting the same message. And then I was like, no, this is real. And like, just to explain to everyone, I'm a very logical person. I'm not one of the touchy-feely, which I really appreciate those people. I'm not saying that in a bad way, but I'm not one of those people. So for me to really experience that in the digital space tells me this is definitely real. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's so beautiful what you just said, because I think still as a community, even though COVID happened and we did a lot of things online, well, maybe because COVID happened and we did a lot of things online and people were very isolated during that time. So online felt like a substitute for in person. And I think that digital spaces are like neighborhoods. They're like places we exist, just like we exist in our local neighborhood, in our local spaces. We exist in our digital spaces and make relationships and friends and have important
Yeah, for sure.
experiences there.
What's also interesting is like my experience with the tahajjud threads. Like I started out, I was an admin on the tahajjud thread, and I feel I really connected to the people on our thread. And maybe sometimes because we're not face to face, we're able to be more vulnerable and share more of the essence of who I am on that thread. So I think sometimes there might be even more potential to be the real you in spaces like that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You know, all the way back to the 90s, there was research done around the experience of digital spaces, and is it a virtual, as meaning not real, or is it real? And all the way back in the 90s, research tells us that the lived experience of being in a digital space is real to us. I think Muslims are behind in recognizing this, and we really need to think about it, because again, we are our history. So going forward, the next generations are going to be living in digital spaces very easily. So we need to understand these spaces and be building positive, healthy spaces for people to be in.
Yeah. So from that question, like, I never expected to be like so deeply into this work of creating a digital space, but yeah.
SubhanAllah. All right. Well, the first question I've been asking the other Rabata ladies is, I'd like you to think about your daughter.
Okay.
And not her daughter, and not her daughter, and also not her, but her daughter. So 5 steps in the future. How do you hope she is living in the world at that time?
How do I hope she is living in the world? I mean, just a very simplistic answer. I hope she is really holding on to her iman, and I hope that she is living her Islam fully. That it's not, because I think you went 5 generations down. I hope that it's not been watered down, that it's been handed down to her fully, that her Islam is a full, rich Islam that's not one-dimensional. So that's one thing. Another thing is, for that to be the case, you can't, I used to think like you could kind of do that alone. I could be a do-it-yourself kind of project thing. And because I like to just be able to just do it myself. But I think with age, I've realized that you cannot do it yourself. Or maybe there are people, but I think for most of us, we can't. We need a community. We need a support. So which goes back to this work in this digital space. I envision that she has people supporting her, who are walking with her, they're arm in arm. So that's also what I envision. And I also envision that even though, like, being a female, that by then we're not going to have to tell them that, okay, even though you're a woman, you can still. I taught a Dragonflies lesson this last weekend. So this is Women's History Month. So I was talking to them about Ustada Mina Asilmi. So one of the points that I was taking from the story, because I have 8-year-olds, that look, that women have a lot to offer to the community, and that women can do a lot for the community. But what I'm hoping is it's going to be, it's not going to have to be vocalized by that point. We don't say men can serve their community. You know, we don't have to tell boys men have talent. We don't have to do that. I was thinking about like girl power. No one has to talk about boy power. So I'm hoping, like, you know, by that time we're not have to go and tell them, yes, you can, because it'll just be, of course you can. So, yeah.
Yes, that's so powerful. And I just want to underline what you said, that you are also a Dragonflies teacher. So that's a program that we have here at Rabata, where we have designed the curriculum, and it is ethics based and story based, to teach children and give them beautiful experiences of learning about their deen. But you're absolutely right. And what a beautiful future for that young girl, that young Muslim girl, to not have to be told. It's so ingrained in her that she has her own power, that she's just amplifying that power all the time. I love it. I love it. Okay, so now let's expand. That was the one. Let's go out now into the whole ummah, okay? What does the ummah look like 100 years from now?
100 years from now. Okay, so I think I'm just going to focus on one thing. The thing that I hope 100 years from now is we are living that ayah that we've created you into nations. We have created you from a male and female and made you into nations and tribes. So for me, that covers everything. Yes, we are from male and female, and that we are in nations and tribes so that we can know one another. I hope that we are living that
Mhm.
fully 100 years from now. Inshallah, that's what I hope.
Knowing each other, living in the shelter of one another, respecting and knowing one another. When you really know someone, you respect them, you enjoy
Yes.
them. I mean, right? I
No,
love,
no, I was just
sorry, go
agreeing.
ahead.
Yes.
Yeah. One of the things I love, so I mean, I love traveling so much. I don't do it so much anymore. I'm getting older, and I think it's important to stay put a little bit so people can come and see me here. But the thing I love about traveling, I don't love the plane trip, and I don't love the headache, and I don't love not being in my own bed and all that stuff. I love meeting Muslim people and eating Muslim food around the world. I know that sounds wild, but I love it so much. Even just think about breakfast, like how differently, because I have things that culturally I eat for breakfast. But then I lived in Syria for 20 years. So sometimes I have things I'll eat for breakfast that are culturally Syrian. And then when I went to Malaysia, that breakfast category, it didn't fit in either one of my other categories at all. And it took me some time to be like, okay, this is breakfast food: fish, anchovies, rice, banana leaf, hot, spicy sauce, chili sauce, peanuts, egg. I think, is there an egg in there? I can't remember now. But it's so different. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love this world that Allah created so much. I love what you said. How beautiful 100 years from now that we know each other. Just thinking about it, just that we know each other. And there's no longer fear or stereotyping or racism or sexism or ugliness between us. Now, I don't, inshallah, inshallah. All right, here's the big question. Are you ready
Okay,
for the big
big
question?
question.
All right, so the big question is, you are envisioning with us, and such beautiful things to envision. On one hand, you're envisioning a young girl who is living her Muslim life fully, as much as she wants to live it, knowing about herself that she has agency and power and voice. Okay? And she's living that in the midst, in your vision, so beautiful, of an ummah that knows one another. So how do we get there? How do we get there to that place? And how do you see, this is a two-part question. How do we get there? And what do you see as your role of that positive cultural change so we can reach that place today at Rabata
How
or
do we
elsewhere?
get there? I'm not saying this because I work with Rabata, but for me as a person, like, I'm not big vision. I am one step at a time. How are we getting there? So I already see the work that I'm doing at Rabata, that we are heading in that direction. And I just, for myself, I feel like, if you have a machine and you've got different wheels, each wheel needs to do their part, and work effectively. That's how the machine will work. So for me, I'm like, okay, I got to do my wheel part. So that's how I see it. One of the things that's really important is knowledge. For them to be able to have this Islam, to have this faith, is to have the correct knowledge. So I myself, I'm a Ribaat student. I graduated, I got the certification. So this is how, I have to fill in my piece. So be my piece, be that, as the chain's going down through the generations, I need to be a strong part, the strong link. So I'm taking my classes with Ribaat because I feel like this is where I'm going to get the knowledge. This is when I'm teaching my daughter. We're having conversations. I need the knowledge to have those conversations. So this is one part that I think is really important. And then also, like,
Can you hold that second one? I want to say something. I just love this so much. When we look back in history, please forgive me for interrupting you, but it's just, yeah. Before we move on to the other one, I just want to underline what you said, because when we look back in history, when we study hadith, when we look at our spirituality and our faith, we're looking at those links. I love what you said. I want to be a strong link. Ah, it gave me chills when you said it. And I thought, yes. And that's what we're doing. We're giving women an opportunity to be a strong link in the future chain. When those kids and those adults, 100 years from now, they're looking back and they're finding us standing there with our stories told. That's just, I love it. Please keep going.
Right. So that's the first thing that I think that is like, I have to be the link. If there's that link is gone, end of the chain is gone. So that's
so true.
Yeah, I think knowledge, I think even with the knowing one another, this knowledge, I feel like this word knowledge in English, it's not enough. I feel like in English it feels like a very dry, but that's not the kind of knowledge that we're learning, and I don't have the words for it, but that's the first thing. I love that I have the opportunity to teach Dragonfly, so I can take a little bit of what I know and I'm passing it on. Like when I talked about that I want us all 100 years from now that we should know one another. So one of the things in the Dragonfly's curriculum is we went over in February, Africa is not a country. And that was brilliant because I'm like, I never studied this in Sunday school when I was growing up. It's very different. And it's like we are bringing in, we talked about Sahaba that came from African heritage. It's like we're still connecting the, the Islamic knowledge you would study in Sunday school, but we're tying it into this. And we talked about different facts about different, how many Muslim majority African countries there are. I talked to the girls about that. And I like when I'm teaching, because I always have to know why. I'm motivated by knowing why. I'm like, okay, I always give them the rationale. Why are we studying this? And I said, because, we're an ummah and we have to love one another. And how are we going to love one another if we don't learn about one another? So I said, why we're learning about this. So we can get to learn about one another so we can love one another. And it was really nice because I had 2 girls in my class who had Somali background. And at first when I started talking about Africa, they didn't say anything, but later on at the end of the class, they said, guess what? My parents are from Somalia and they're really excited. I love that. And then I said, well, you don't have to. We don't do homework in Dragonflies, but do you guys want to present?
Yeah.
And they came back the next week, did their own research. One of them did, and they're 8. And I was like, wow, I'm so impressed with the technological level of these kids. But so beautiful, and they're so proud and they were so happy to be able to share that. So I felt like, okay, I'm happy because I feel like I'm moving forward with this work of what vision. I'm getting this opportunity to do this. So that's one of the things. And then I think the other thing with Masjid Rabata, when I talk about a rich faith, is that we encourage ibadah, and then we encourage ibadah in a way that I'd never been exposed to before. So I see sometimes when, like this month, we were trying to encourage people to, if you can, maybe do 70,000 salawat. Like you don't have to, set what you're comfortable with. If you really fund yourself, try this. And so many people are like, wow, 70,000. I've never done this before. And I love when at the end of the month, there's people like, I never knew I could do this, and they've done it. It's so amazing. So this kind of encouraging ibadah in this way. But also, that's like, you don't have to do that. You can also take it step by step, set a goal that you can achieve and work on it this way, but encouraging, bring back these things. So I feel like that's part of, building strong faith, the knowledge plus this worship. So, and the spaces that we create are creating community, our gathering, our WhatsApp threads where, people can come. I love it. There's people from all over the world. So even if you're in a place where maybe there aren't a lot of other Muslims, you can still come here and get that support and get that connection.
Yeah.
So,
that support is going to come even though the time zone is different because there's somebody else in a nearby time zone. It's a really beautiful thing that gets us to that thing you're talking about, which is how do we know one another? Well, this way of knowing one another and knowing where we live, and subhanallah, it's so, there's real truth in this idea that we're preparing to be in the place of knowing one another because of how we are learning about each other's ways of life and such in those smaller digital spaces.
Yes, well, somebody was uh, cooking. She was cooking a Tajik dish. I don't know if I'm saying that right. For preparing for Ramadan, I think you have to stir for like 20 hours or something. But this was just in our thread where we're doing salawat. But she was sending pictures, and she's like, "You stir this, and I think like you do salawat or you do dhikr over it." And it was just so beautiful. And then some like Moroccan dishes, and it is our salawat bread, but people share the different things that they're doing. You know, they're cooking and with dhikr. So yeah, I feel like okay, we're doing that. And I think about, you know, when you had us when we had to write the when we write the reports, what we're writing up. I think one time, not this year, you said that write it as if, you know, someone 7 generations from now is going to be able to look at this and reconstruct it. So I never forgot that because I'm like, okay, I'm not creating this just for us now. We're trying to create structures, and it may change, the method may change, the delivery may change, but we're trying to create structures that are going to hold, inshallah, for those 7 generations, inshallah, from now. So
yeah, 100%. And also we want to give, like, we are our history, so we want, it's so hard when you're a history researcher to find data and information, especially about women. And so we want to change that so that 5, 6, 7 generations, maybe they'll be watching this video and they'll be like, thank you for saving and data collecting and writing and all of that. Or maybe they'll say, well, what you didn't know is that things would change so much we can't access. We don't know, but we can do our best to make it a place, to make it something that can be researched and can be looked at. SubhanAllah.
inshallah.
Yeah, SubhanAllah. Oh, well, are you ready for Ramadan? I mean, such beautiful things you've been talking about today. I'm jumping now because it's coming so close. Are you feeling ready for Ramadan?
Well, I mean, like the detailed things like food, things like that, I'm working on it right now. I'm slowly getting ready. I'm getting my house ready, inshallah. But I feel the excitement. Usually I do like this. There's a point like in middle of Shaban where I'm like more stressed. I'm like, oh my gosh, am I gonna be ready? Everything's gonna be ready. And as we draw close to Ramadan, I'm like, it's Ramadan. Ramadan is just coming with its gifts, and I'm just excited. I'm like, I know it's going to be great, inshallah. Like whatever, I'm going to do what I can, do all my practical things that I have to do, but inshallah, it's going to be great because it's Ramadan.
Yes, absolutely. And I guess I want to say to everyone out there who's watching that the spaces we hold at Rabata Masjid are there to hold you wherever you are this Ramadan. It's digital, so if you don't have local community where you're breaking your fast with or attending Taraweeh or things like this, you can look forward to the activities that we have. But especially like what Imam Samia said just now about how Ramadan is coming with its gifts, that's for every single Muslim. And sometimes we feel like if you have a health issue, I was just visiting someone today who's struggling with some health issues. If you have a health issue, maybe I've heard people say to me that, well, Ramadan isn't for me because I can't fast or because I'm this or that. Ramadan is for you no matter what. It's a gift, just like you said, Imam Samia. It's a gift that comes to us no matter where we are, no matter what our spiritual state, no matter what our state of sin. And it's an opportunity for us to turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether we can fast or not. Of course, if you're alhamdulillah, health is good, inshallah, then we're all going to be fasting together and enjoying that fast and looking forward to it. Don't be scared of fasting. Allah sends help. It's for sure Allah sends help. Alhamdulillah, the days are a bit shorter and cooler now. Do you have any final words to give people, Imam Samia, any encouraging words, either about the future, about our history, or about Ramadan?
For Ramadan, I hope, inshallah, that if you feel you don't have somewhere to go, please come and join us at Masjid Rabata. We're always so excited and happy to see you all there. And it's a beautiful experience. The thing I really, really look forward to, like I'm already excited about, is our itikaf nights. So it's just a beautiful experience. So I'm hoping, inshallah, that if you feel you don't have any place to go or you're feeling lonely, come and join us. Join us for our Quran recitations every day. Join us for itikaf nights. Even sometimes if you're coming and maybe you're on a different juz than we're reading in the masjid, you can come, turn it on and put the volume down, do your own readings if you like. Come and join us in the masjid to read together. It's a great way to stay consistent. So yeah, that's all I have to say. If you come and join us, we're really happy to have you with us, inshallah. And we're there every day. We're going to be there every day with Quran recitation. And we're going to be there the last 10 nights, inshallah.
11 starts at 11 with regular speed, and then at noon for the super slow speed. And yeah, so excited. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. And I'll be here on Instagram every day at 5 o'clock to be talking with you. Once Ramadan starts, we will stop the interviews and I'll start doing Ramadan talks, inshallah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Imam Samia. Thank you, everyone, for joining us again today. More beautiful, amazing words, more beautiful visions. It makes me every time I hear each one of you, we work together every day, but this opportunity has been really nice for me. And it helps me to, it's just like my vision is growing with all of your visions. So, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. All right. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Much, Anse. Assalamu alaikum.